Well, folks, we've reached the end. This is Dragon Ball Super, episode 131. Kiseki no Kechaku, Saraba Goku, Mata Fuimade, which translates as The Miraculous Conclusion. Farewell, Son Goku, until we meet again. We've reached the end, guys. It was an emotional run. Very emotional run. I thoroughly enjoyed this series, and I'm very sad to see it go. But this is the end. Dragon Ball Super episode 131. There's going to be the movie coming up and later things. It might come back next year or, some other year. But this is the end for now. And this episode 131, it didn't really feel like an ending. It felt more like an ending to an arc and an ending for a while. And that's why I don't think people should compare this ending to Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball, or even GT's ending for that matter, because it really wasn't the same thing. This episode had its good stuff and maybe some things that were a little too obvious, but overall I think in the time allotted it did a fairly decent job. I know people are already being really salty. I'm not really sure why. I know people like ranting and bickering about it. I don't know why. I don't really give a damn, actually. This episode was good enough in my opinion, and let's talk about it. This is episode 131 review, and we have no opening this time, which makes sense. In the final episode for One Punch Man of season 1, there was no opening, and so in Dragon Ball Super, there was no opening, because we will get to that later. So I do like the fact that it was Goku and Frieza. They were the ones to defeat Jaron, once rivals, now becoming friends. And, I like this fact more than if it was Android 17, Goku and Frieza, because if it were that, then it kind of feels like 17 was just kind of pulled in there for no reason. But I like the fact it was not only Goku and Frieza to defeat Jiren, it was specifically Super Saiyan Son Goku and Frieza in his final form. It really gives the fans a good nostalgia in terms of that. Now, I also like the fact that Jiren finally learns trust, or at least he doesn't specifically say so, but it's kind of implied he does later on. As for the wish, Android 17 making the wish was very unexpected, but it isn't a very Toriyama-esque type of ending where, all the universes were restored. And the Grand Priest makes a very interesting claim that if the winner were to make a selfish wish, then Zeno would have just erased everything. So, it's kind of like Dragon Ball is saying to us, or Toei is saying to us, like, yeah, you guys saw it coming. Come on, guys. Why are you guys expecting this to be like One Piece? It's not. This is freaking Dragon Ball. Deal with it, okay? But enough about the mini rant. So this episode, it was a satisfying enough conclusion. There's only so many things you can do in 22 or some minutes, right? And if it were to do an ending like Dragon Ball Z ending or GT's or Dragon Ball's ending for that matter, it would have not made sense, because if Goku were to have, more character interactions between him and all his friends, like Kuririn, Ten Han, Piccolo, all that good stuff, I feel like that would have been useless, as there is a movie coming out which proceeds from this arc. So having that kind of ending wouldn't have not made sense. So I'm glad that they did not go that route. Now, there was also no mention of Oob in this episode, so that implies that Dragon Ball Super, it's going to continue. It kind of essentially says that the movie will be taking place before the end of Z, because obviously the Oob stuff has not happened in Super, so you guys know what this means. Anyways, I thought the direction of this episode was great. The episode direction was probably the best out of the entire series, I thought. I really did not think there would have been anything else they could have done in terms of direction. especially the shots of like Goku's back. They have that kind of legendary type-esque shot. It's kind of like with Naruto when he became the Hokage. They show his back and then the foreground. It's the kind of the same thing they did here with Son Goku. So that was nice. Other than that, though, I did like that they showed the clips of everything after the arc, and I like that they gave us a little bit of teaser with Goku and Vegeta on stuff to come. And Goku Vegeta, that was probably the coolest moment of this episode, other than Goku and Frieza eliminating Jaron. Now, originally I thought that Jaron was going to be so strong that they could not eliminate him, but it turns out that Goku and Frieza teamed up to defeat him. I know some people are calling it BS and friendship is magic and all that stuff. I mean, guys, this is Dragon Ball. What can you expect, people? Come on now. And I thought it was a fitting ending. It was a very Toriyama-esque ending. I'm sure that some people expected a little bit more of a twist. I thought there was a twist enough with Android 17 winning. I'm kind of glad it wasn't actually Gohan or Vegeta with a win, because their character arcs are essentially over. I like that Toriyama, he essentially he made it so that some other character, technically gets the win. And I also like the fact that Android 17 actually did not technically get the win, because it's Frieza and Goku who got the win, but he was the last one standing. So good job on that part. Overall, I did like it. There was more stuff they could have done, right? And I think that another wrap-up episode would have been better. But for what they've done in the allowed time frame, I think they did a pretty good job, and a good enough job for me. I'm really going to miss this series. I've been watching this series every week since episode 9. And it's been one hell of a ride, guys. And I'm actually pretty sad to see it go. We have the movie coming up in December, and I'm looking forward to that. But, Dragon Ball Super did wrap up decently, I thought. A couple of other things I wanted to mention before I get out of here with this final episode. Frieza being revived was a weird thing, but I'm not really complaining too much, because Frieza being revived, I mean, it's cool to see him go back again, but I mean, I'm not really sure why Frieza is still trying to rule at this point, because Goku, Vegeta, and Beerus, they're all there and they're so powerful that Frieza really can't do much now, but he's just doing his own evil schemes. And the whole Whis thing, where Whis is the one to revive him, that was weird, and that was kind of a weird plot point. But I'm not too angry about it, because I mean, Whis is kind of Whis has been the Deus Ex Machina from the start. Because you remember in Resurrection F, he rewinded time. He's stronger than Beerus. He can essentially bring babies into life and all that stuff. He can materialize things. Whis, as an angel, can pretty much do everything, and I think that's the point of Whis, is he is the attendant of Beerus, and he really can do everything, but it's not really his job to do things. He's just there, just as a friend and as a minor mentor for Goku, Vegeta, and the crew, and so I'm not really too salty about that. Now, another weird thing I must mention, because this is an episodic review, Frieza's army is somehow revived. That was kind of weird, but my thing about that is, well, I mean, it is been a while, I suppose, after the end of the tournament, so I guess Frieza had enough time to revive, or not revive, but just to recruit more people to his army, or he had some army personnel left, so that makes sense, I guess. I'm not really too concerned about that, but this ending is pretty open-ended, I thought, and it gives us more to tell later on. I mean, it's definitely not a final conclusion, if you will. It's kind of more like a for now parting breakup type of thing. even the narrator says this at the end of the episode. He's like, for now, until we meet again, everyone. And I like the fact that Goku and Vegeta are there sparring in their blue forms in the same wasteland that they fought in the Saiyan arc, and that they made the same poses. I was hoping the anime would do this as a nostalgic final scene, and they did it. They did it, and I'm really glad they did it, because when I saw this in Toyotaro's manga, I was really hoping that the anime would do it, because that was a really cool thing that Toyotaro did, and the anime did it as well. So yeah, guys, this is the end. I thought this end was decent enough for me. I know some people don't like it. I know some people think it's way too predictable or whatever. Personally, I think it was good enough, and as the Dragon Ball name, I think it was good enough. It didn't really have to be so insanely like great, because it really couldn't been. This is a tournament after all. You can do only so much with a tournament, right? You can't really put that much like story into the tournament type scenario, but the conclusion I thought was it was decent enough for me, and that's something to say about Dragon Ball Super that was good, is that the ending was decent enough, at least in my perspective. And I know some people agree and some people won't agree, and that's perfectly fine. But yeah, I thought this episode was decent. I don't believe this episode was as good as GT's episode or Z's ending, because it's not supposed to be. And I'm excited for anything that's left to come. So, with that said, guys, thank you all for listening to my episode review of Dragon Ball Super. Thank you for listening to all my reviews of Dragon Ball Super, the ones I could have made and the ones I didn't make it. But thanks for tuning in for me anyway. I will see you guys later. Say in the comments what you thought about episode 131 and Dragon Ball Super as a whole. Thank you again. Stay awesome, everybody, and have a good one.